Every morning, Jenna wiped down the coffee counter, adjusted the napkin holder, and smiled at the same man sitting by the window. He never said much, just sipped his coffee and stared out at the street as if he were watching the world pass him by. But there was something about him, his quiet presence, the gentle nods he gave her each day, that tugged at her heart. Most days she thought of him as just another lonely old man, someone who needed a kind word more than anything else. Little did she know, her small acts of kindness would one day turn her ordinary mornings into a life-changing event she could never have imagined. Jenna had always loved being a waitress. She liked the rhythm of the restaurant, the clink of cutlery, the hum of conversations, the way people's eyes lit up when she brought them something they needed before they even asked for it. But life hadn't been easy for her. She was raising her little brother after their parents passed away, struggling to pay rent and barely scraping together enough to cover groceries. Yet, despite the exhaustion, she always saved her brightest smile for him, the old man who came every day at 9. She learned his routine: a black coffee, a slice of apple pie, and a newspaper folded neatly in half. She didn't ask for his name at first, it didn't matter. She just enjoyed seeing him safe, warm, and slightly comforted in the world. Weeks passed, and a quiet routine developed. Sometimes she'd notice the way his hands trembled as he unfolded the newspaper, or the way his eyes glistened when he looked at the young kids running past the cafe window. One rainy morning, she noticed him staring out at the wet streets longer than usual. "Tough day?" she asked gently. He didn't respond, just nodded slightly and sipped his coffee. She wanted to reach out, but she didn't know how. She had her own insecurities, and she had seen enough strangers retreat from people like him. Yet, her small gestures, refilling his cup, tucking a warm napkin under his hand, chatting about the weather, seemed to matter. Then, one ordinary Thursday, the restaurant door swung open with more drama than usual. 4 large men in suits and sunglasses strode in, followed by 2 women carrying briefcases. Heads turned, phones were raised, and behind them, the old man Jenna had grown to care for appeared, but something about him was different. He stood taller, though his body hadn't changed, and there was a confidence in his stride that hadn't been there before. Jenna froze, heart pounding, unsure of what was happening. One of the lawyers approached her table and said, "Miss Jenna, we're here on Mr. Carlton's behalf. He wishes to speak with you." The old man, Mr. Carlton, gave her a small, familiar smile, one that somehow carried decades of gratitude and unspoken stories. At first, Jenna was confused, even intimidated. The lawyers explained that Mr. Carlton, a retired philanthropist who had lived a quiet life after immense personal loss, had been watching her for months. Her kindness, her warmth, her selflessness, they had not gone unnoticed. He had been alone for so long, surrounded by wealth that couldn't buy true companionship, that her small gestures of daily care meant more than anything money could ever provide, and now he wanted to give back. What followed was overwhelming. He offered to help her with her financial struggles, to ensure her little brother could go to college, to give her stability and security that she had been fighting for all her life. Jenna felt tears blur her vision. But not from shock or awe. They came from the deep recognition that someone had truly seen her struggles and her heart. Even with all the money and promises, Jenna felt a deeper connection than anything material. Mr. Carlton shared stories of his youth, of mistakes and regrets, of how he had always wished he had someone in his life who understood him without judgment. Jenna listened, and in those conversations, they built a bond neither could have expected. She learned that kindness isn't transactional, it ripples, often quietly, until it reaches someone at the exact moment they need it most. Over time, she continued her work at the cafe, but now with the security to dream bigger. And though Mr. Carlton had the world at his feet, it was Jenna's small acts of humanity that reminded him that life's true value is measured in compassion, not wealth. In the months that followed, Jenna and Mr. Carlton became a remarkable example of how simple human kindness can change lives. She helped organize local charities, volunteer drives, and even mentorship programs for struggling teens. Every morning, she still poured coffee and offered a smile, but now she knew something she hadn't understood before: small acts of care are never wasted. The world may seem indifferent at times, but a little kindness can create a chain reaction, touching lives in ways no one expects. And as she looked at Mr. Carlton's eyes, she realized that sometimes The greatest gifts come from being seen, being valued, and being treated with unwavering human dignity. That old man at the cafe wasn't just a stranger anymore. He was a reminder that the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. By the end, Jenna understood something profoundly simple. Life isn't about grand gestures or accolades, it's about showing up every day with a heart willing to care. Mr. Carlton's lawyers and bodyguards had brought him to her physically, but it was her unwavering kindness that had brought him to life in the way he needed most. And in that, she found the most enduring lesson: the power to change someone's life often lies not in what we have, but in how we choose to treat the people we meet along the way.